All right, welcome back, fellow TFFL owners, to your TFFL webcast. It is Thursday. We're coming to you a day later than usual. We are already into Week 13 action. We'll be looking back at Week 12, looking ahead to Week 13, our last week of the regular season. We've got division titles, playoff berths on the line. Last week coming up here for a free agent and IR picks that you can actually keep. So this is it. This is the end. Let's get to it. We're going to have a tight but full webcast here. Headlines this week. Once again, Boba Fett's still unbeaten. 24 games, Terry?
Yeah, that is correct. That is
24
correct.
games. Still undefeated on the 2018 season. We've had a few weeks recently where the Fats have not been scoring a ton. They've been beatable. Week 12 was really the best of all possible weeks with Goff and Gurley on a bye.
Andy Dalton getting hurt.
Yep.
Kelsey on a bye.
Yeah.
Eric
Mongo
Braun saves them.
Yep, 6 points short. So one more game to go with the Lizards in Week 13. We'll see if the Fats can pull off our first ever undefeated season. Speaking of the Lizards clinch a playoff berth. Lizards are in, Aliens are out, unfortunately. Big win for the Lizards in Week 12. They cannot do anything more than a wild card spot given the season the Fats are having, but Lizards in as a wild card. And I think likely to be the number 5 seed. Games coming down to or battles coming down to the wire here. Devils and Mongols for the division. Hams and Sens head-to-head for the division title. And some of these games are underway. Terry's not getting much from Drew Brees to start Week 13 here on Thursday night. Mongols win or Devils lose, and the Mongols are in the playoffs. So this may come down to the Aliens beating the Devils if Drew Brees doesn't start scoring.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Some injuries I want to bring up. Melvin Gordon, not a long-term injury, but somewhat significant to the TFFL landscape. His injury in Week 12 was a big swing in the Aliens-Lizards game. Austin Eckler went on to score, I think, 9 more fantasy points after Gordon went down. You throw that over to Gordon, and that game's a lot closer. But without Gordon in Week 13, Terry, that's going to make the Aliens attempt to beat the Devils a little tough.
Yeah, a little tougher.
Leonard Fournette, interestingly, suspended Week 13. Not going to affect the playoff picture for us much, but interesting nonetheless. Andy Dalton, as I think Chief mentioned, on IR. Didn't just ding the Fats a little bit there in Week 12. Didn't cost him the game. But it now suddenly leaves the Fats without a backup quarterback, which could be a very significant issue, again, if Goff sits down in Week 15 or 16 with the Rams locking up a conference title, perhaps. Fats have got some work to do to find a backup quarterback here. All right, let's give you a TFFL trivia question to answer, and then we'll get talking. So if the Aliens beat the Devils in Week 13, let's be optimistic here. We're all rooting for our fellow webcaster. If the Aliens beat the Devils in Week 13, the Aliens will finish with a winning record. We'll miss the playoffs with a winning record for the second straight season. But that'll mean all 3 teams in the Northern Conference West will have winning records this year. Bats, Lizards, and Aliens. In our 21 seasons, how many times have all 3 teams in a division finished with winning records? I'll give 3 points to the person who can get closest. And if that's a tie, you can both get 3 points, or all 4 you could get 3 points.
So how many years?
How many times? Yep. How many years has there been a single division where all 3 teams have had a winning record that year? How frequent is it?
All 3 have winning records or do not?
Do.
Yep.
Do.
All right. And if If you get the exact answer, I'll give you an extra 2 points.
All right.
Like Halloween candy, end of the night.
Sorry, Chief, I gave away a lot last week.
Yeah, no
Wait,
shit.
what is the 2 points? If you get the number exact.
Yeah.
All right.
But I'm
How
still
many
18, I
times?
should be playing for the guests this year. So
All right. So you're looking for a number of times this has occurred.
Yes, correct. All right, Hank. Last time we'll do this year. Maybe we'll wrap up next week. But this is really the critical time to look at the standings one more time, heading into week 13. We've already sort of mapped out who's fighting for the playoff battles, but I think you're going to lead us into a discussion of the interesting battle for the top overall pick and the second, third, and fourth picks.
I hope to. All right, so let's look at this, and our division leaders are shaping up. They've kind of settled in here. We've got the Boba Fats, who are the no-code champs, 11-0-1, going for the perfect season this week. We have the Amsterdam Packers, who have won the division, but with a loss this week between the K-Wheels, could actually finish as a non-winning, or I guess an even 500 division winner. Then you've got the SoCo East, the Hams and the Sens are going to play for the versus the title. I have a typo there. The Sens and Hams play for the title this week, and so we'll see who does that. They're gonna both make the playoffs, the records, but it's a matter of who's going to be the wild card and who's the champ. Same with the Devils Mongols. We're gonna have a great battle there. I think they're head to head, right? So we get those two playing each other. And then the Lizards and the Senators are the other two teams that have got, are going to be rounding out the playoff mix. So, unfortunately, the aliens have joined the ranks of not going to be joining the playoff ranks. We'll see exactly where they're settled in. So, I think, Stick, you could either be the 5 or the 6 pick, depending. Is that right?
Yeah.
And so we'll see how that goes. Now, there are some interesting scenarios of the bottom 4 teams that we can or cannot discuss, and we can, they will all change by next week. But the Beavers, I believe, are locked in at the number 1 pick. A sponge win this week could really help the K-Wheels. So we'll see kind of how that shapes out. The K-Wheels could slip into that number 3 slot. We cannot get ahead of the Giant Killers. So we cannot get out of the Killers or the Beavers. But we can get ahead of the Sponge if they win and we lose. So go Sponge.
So that's new.
Go Sponge.
Slippery Beavers locked into the number 1 overall pick.
That is correct, and I think that is due to the fact that, Chief, correct me if I'm wrong here, that even if the Beavers win, they and you lose this week, you beat them. Is that not correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Beavers have lost all those teams.
Yeah, and the Killers, the same thing. Didn't you not beat the Beavers?
Yes.
Right. So
it makes you wonder who the Beavers beat.
They beat me.
Bad teams.
They beat me. If I got to head with the Beavers, I needed them to win one because I could beat them in a tie break.
Must lose week for the panel.
Panel guys. Our over engagement has turned into us all missing the playoffs except Terry. Go Terry, we're with you.
Go Mom. Everyone jump on the
Let's
Mongols.
go Saints. Get it together in the second half.
Equals underachievement.
The TFFL darling right now, the Mongols. Everyone's behind the Mongols.
The Mongols need everyone.
We all.
All right, Terry, TFFL Commissioner Report. What do you got for us heading into our final week of your first regular season?
Well, I think it's a good year. It's exciting. The webcasts have been fun. And procedurally, I mean, you guys know what to do. So let's keep doing it. Like you said earlier, last week to make FA picks that you can keep. And then after that, they become rental players. So, playoff teams, be aware. Coming up, we're going to have the reserve lineups. And other than that, on to the games.
Hey, so ultimately this will be your decision, Terry, and Bill may have to weigh in, but let me get the panel's input on a rules issue real quick here. The Aliens have put 2 players on IR this year. we've only used one IR pick.
Yeah.
May I use an IR pick in week 13?
Well,
Yeah.
You've placed 2 guys on IR, or you have 2 guys on IR?
I have placed 2 guys on IR, on TFFL IR. I put Devontae Freeman on IR a few
On a
weeks
trade.
ago to clear a active roster space when I took on players in a trade. But I put 2 players on IR, but I've only used one IR pick. Can I use an IR pick in week 13 without putting somebody on IR in week 13, having already put a second player on IR?
I'm going to say no, because you didn't drop that guy. It was really, in essence, an IR. You moved him to IR to pick up. Yeah, I would say no.
Do I therefore lose a free agent pick? Because
No, you lose your IR pick.
I would say maybe you can make the argument that you can put another guy on IR, but you have to drop one of the guys that are already there.
You can have as many people as you want on IR. So you're saying when you made the trade, you put somebody on IR to free up the space for that trade.
Or LaShawn McCoy.
That's correct. The rules.
You're not allowed to do that.
I didn't think you're allowed to do that. Yeah, I wasn't.
I may have violated.
Yeah, I think you need to surrender your highest pick this year.
I think you discovered that this is an error that was made long ago, and that the error was allowing you to. How did you move LaShawn McCoy to IR?
No, I put Devontae Freeman on TFFL IR.
How?
I didn't realize this.
Instead of dropping a player because he's at 21.
I freed up an active roster.
Well, yes.
This is the first controversy of the Rodgers administration. What is going on here?
Well, I mean,
But listen, I have obviously publicly acknowledged what has gone on. I don't mean to try to slip this under the rug, but let's move on for the sake of the webcast. There's some interesting questions here. Did the aliens do something illegal in moving a player to IR to free up an open active roster spot? And back to my original question, can I still use a second IR pick, having put 2 players on IR but only used one IR pick this far? We'll investigate further and get back to the league.
I will text our rules chairman.
My quick thing, being Rules chair and commissioner, was it's illegal, but maybe it shouldn't be. But no, I don't think you get another IR pick to use.
I agree. We have 2 IR slots mandated as part of the roster, and you're using both of them.
That's different.
I don't mind that being the rule. If you want to put a guy in IR instead of dropping one, I'm okay with that. Maybe that should be part of the rules.
yeah, I mean, it says that you have to clear a roster spot. It doesn't say that you can't do it by moving a guy to IR. So maybe that does need to be addressed.
Got it.
All right. Okay, roundtable chat. Let's Terry, I'm going to preempt the schedule and game of the week down the line, because we shouldn't be talking about anything else but the games of the week for our roundtable chat. So let's just dive right into the biggest game of the week, perhaps. Hams and Senators, head-to-head. I presume this would have been your game of the week, Terry.
That is correct.
Hams coming in with a 1-game lead. So if they win, they're in. They're in as the division title winner, as the conference title winner.
Champs.
If the Senators win, they are all tied up at 8-4-1. Somebody answer this. Who wins the tiebreaker in that scenario?
If their division records, I think the tiebreaker becomes division record, right?
Oh, I think the first one would be head-to-head.
Who won the first one is head-to-head.
Who won the first
one? And then it's head-to-head points.
Then head-to-head points.
Yeah.
Then combined records against division winners.
Division record. Okay. Oh, where's division record in there?
They'll both be 3-1 if they win. Because right now, the Hams 3-0 to 3-1, and their losses to the Hams.
Tiebreaker number 4 is a coin flip.
Well, hold on. So the Senators won in week 2.
Correct.
So if the Senators win in week 13 to force a tie at 8-4-1,
they'll have the head-to-head.
They will have the head-to-head. The Senators
they'll be 4-0. Yeah, you're right.
So Senator, a lot on the line here. Senator, if we're talking again, division conference titles, $500, first round bye, big game here. Let's take a look at this. Pull it up, guys. Tell me what you see.
You know what I was looking at earlier? I'm fascinated by the Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster going head-to-head in that one.
Good matchup.
Yeah, we got Kamara not doing much tonight.
Yeah. We'll see if Julio does anything for the Hams.
I mean, Mahomes against Oakland, that seems like a dream matchup.
Yeah.
But
they might be tired from playing the Rams last week.
That was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is Kamara doing nothing right now. 13-0 Dallas.
Yep.
There's a touchdown from somebody, but it's
No, that was a replay or a highlight.
That was a tease.
Yeah.
So
Gus Edwards in the lineup.
Gus Edwards is in right now, and Gronk is out.
Wow.
A healthy Gronk out of the lineup.
And Edwards is not healthy. He may not play, I don't think.
Right. So that could be changed, but that's a storyline if Gronk out, because he's never been out of my lineup when he was not injured. So
he can put in Dion Lewis.
Gronk has not been in the Senators lineup every week, I don't think.
No, we've Kramer's talked about that, his frustration about that, and wanting to reverse the Ertz Gronk deal. But the answer is no.
No, Berto, you fleeced him again there. That was well done.
Not a fleecing, because to stick in Chief's point, I could have probably could have ended up giving him back and forth. But anyway, instead of a second.
So the Brown versus Smith-Schuster battle is big in a couple of respects, not just interesting as two Steelers receivers going head-to-head. But those are the last two guys going. This one's going to
Sunday night.
Going to be done mostly through Sunday afternoon, and then just each of those guys going on Sunday night to settle that game. So that'll be fun to watch. Give me a pick here, guys. Who do you like?
I like the Hams.
I like the Hams.
Yeah, I like the Hams.
Hams 75, Senators 72.
I think it's going to be a little bigger spread than that. Mahomes is he might put up 40. He's got to at least put up 28. It's
yeah. Brady matching up against a tough Minnesota D maybe keeps his numbers down a little bit.
Running the ball a lot lately.
Yeah. And if they run the ball, the Hams have Sony Michel. So yeah.
Well, the pundit in me would largely agree with the rest of the panel, but I am a Senators fan this week. I want the Hams to drop in the playoff rankings. I have their first round draft pick next year. So let's go Sens, even though if I had to put money on this game, it likely would lie with the Hams.
And I say let's go Hams because I got the Sens first round pick. This is a big swing right here.
Big swing, big impacting our future battles, Berto. Here we go.
Yeah, Senators have a lot of red crosses on their side here. Mahomes has the potential for a big day. Kamara getting off to a slow start here. You gotta lean Hams at the moment.
This was probably better said last week, but I was apparently getting my ass kicked in trivia instead. It goes to show you the approach here. One of those teams was serious about improving their squad, and one of the teams was not serious about improving its squad. I'm talking about the Hams and the Senators. They were ranked evenly. One guy went out and proactively improved it. The other guy is offering, 2 non-keeper and a 12th round pick, starting running backs. One guy improved their team, the other guy didn't. And this is what happens. This race was clearly tilted to the Sens about 4 weeks ago, and I think it's clearly tilted to the Hams.
That's a bold point. Let me turn to Hank on that. Did you get offers for Julio Jones from both the Senators and the Hams?
Did we lose him?
Sorry, I that broke up a little bit on me, so I'm sorry. But with the Hams and I have long had trade talks, and I've definitely talked with the Senators as well on various things over time. The Hams are serious. They wanted to get Julio. Big offer to do so, and we kind of worked out some details, and it was me just more emotionally having to get there to depart with Julio. And then with Rivers, that was earlier, and I was trying to get whatever value I could for him.
So the Sens did not really make an offer for Julio down the stretch this year?
They did, but it wasn't quite, where the Hams what they were doing. The Senators, we all know how his trade offers go, and I've actually done some business with the Senators. I think a lot of us have, but in this case, it was not a competitive. It wasn't not a really close discussion as to who was offering the better options for this package.
I'll put a little bit of a different spin on this. I think so. I know Kramer did go for Julio, right? So that happened, but probably maybe somewhat half-hearted. Because, he's got good receivers already who are putting up points. So I think maybe his thought process was, Julio may have been the only big name he was going to go after, because you're not going to get a running back for the price that he could afford, because I already had his first-round pick. He didn't have that. Michael had a first-round pick. So Julio was probably like the top guy he could go for. And yet, even if he did get him, it really isn't a huge improvement over who he's putting in wide receiver right now anyway. So I think that was probably his thought process. It was more about what his team is right now and the fact that he didn't have the ammunition that Michael had.
Yeah, but I'm talking more generically. I don't know what to do with – and I don't mean to pick on centers because, from my position, right, there are two types of owners. And types of owners that are going all in to win a packed bowl. And the other group, which is amazingly large to me, is guys who don't want to spend future draft picks. So they're not going to improve their team. I had at least 3 owners top of my head offering me the best I can do is like an 8th round pick for when you're starting running backs. I'm like, a starting running back, you have 2, and a 3rd round pick is too rich for you. I mean, what the hell's going on here? What's the name of the game? And yes, I'm saying this is a guy who's never been to a final. When I have been in that position, I've gone aggressively to better my team, and I just can't believe there are other people that don't, that want to protect those 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th round draft picks the following year. It was just it was eye-opening to me.
No, I'll jump back in here too, Chief. You are right about that, and I think that's why Michael has done such an awesome job this year.
Both Giovencos are all in this year. I can't say that about anybody else.
So it's funny. I don't get that either, because when I had a shot, man, it was like push all the chips in, do whatever you can. I was looking back at the archives, as such as they are. They're a bit old stick, but and I was like, I didn't have a first round pick that year. Oh, where was that year? And so what? But it was about going for it and trying to win a title. So I fully agree with you that people maybe are pussyfooting around and they should push it in all in more. But at the same time, Kramer didn't have that pick to push in, because if he had that first round pick, he probably would have spent it. So
I agree with that. Kramer will go there if he wants to get the guy. I think he would have, but he just didn't have those chips, and that's what I was looking for, and at least with Julio in this case.
You wanted the first round pick next year, period.
Yes.
That had to have been part of the equation of the trade for you to pull the trigger.
I think so. Because look, we're talking about owners that are willing to push it in to go for it and whatnot, and it's been so damn long since I've been in that position to actually push in to go for it. I don't really remember what that feels like. And so I'm much more on the side of gathering assets for next year. And, I have Saquon now. I have Watson now. I like a couple of my receivers that I've got, and I feel like if I could get another couple of good pieces to come together, we'll see. So yes, I'd like that first round pick next year.
Are you guys seeing 2 Chiefs as well?
Yeah, Chief just logged on twice as commissioner and as chief.
Chief, are you seeing
That's
2
great.
Chiefs?
I am not. I had a black square which just went away.
Yeah, it's gone now.
I had nothing for a good minute there. I lost connection. So much for the signal booster. But
yeah.
All right, hey Berto, and Hank, good counterpoint on the Sens' behalf. It's interesting. Hank and I, on our walk back from lunch today, we're talking about Chief's exact point in the context of the aliens, who 2-3 years ago, we have always made big trades. I hope that's acknowledged. But I used to be one of those guys who loved having draft picks, and I do love having draft picks. But I remember, I think it was at the start of last year, I think both Chief and I think it was Kramer, a couple people made very pointed comments about the aliens being a team always willing to play for next year but not go for a title. And I have shifted my philosophy. I took those comments to heart. We went after Des Bryant last year with a big trade. We went after DeMarco Murray with a big in-season trade. This offseason, ahead of this year, we put down 3 number ones for Melvin Gordon. We made the big Amari Cooper, Jay Ajayi trade. Of course, it hasn't paid off. But I get your point, Chief. Yeah, it's as much as I love having draft picks, go add good players to your team and try to make your team better and go for the title.
Yep. I'm all on board with that philosophy, but
and I again, because of the Melvin Gordon trade, I won't have a first rounder again next year. Now, as I told Hank, what I worry is happening here is it's miring the aliens in mediocrity. We haven't had a first round pick, didn't have it last year, won't have a first rounder again next year. Our last first round pick, Dante Foreman, turned into mush. Do we have enough high upside young talent to get beyond 7 and 6? That's what I worry about.
You also have the fact that you're in the division with the Boba Fatts and the Lizards, who are both really good right now, and that makes it really hard for at least 4 games on your schedule. It's tough. I think Melvin Gordon trade was great, and you made that, and that's a big-time effort to get a big running back. Devonta Freeman, yes, that's a nice trade to get, and he's a good piece that'll hopefully be better next year. We'll see.
Yep.
Yeah, the NOCO West is the new NOCO East.
Yeah.
I'm almost tempted to give you guys the trivia answer right now because we're talking about strong divisions. But let's stop talking about the aliens. Let's move back to the other playoff battle here. Mongols Devils. This one is not head-to-head. The Mongols play the Beavers in Week 13.
Yeah.
Again, Drew Brees going right now. I'm not watching that game. Has he done anything more, Terry?
No. He's got 1 point.
1 point.
Will West is 3 on the board.
All right.
Yes.
So Mongols playing the Beavers, Aliens playing the Devils. Just one of those games needs to go Terry's way, and the Mongols are in. He does have the tiebreakers. Let's take a quick look at both of these games and tell me whether you guys like Terry's odds or not.
I do. I mean, I'm a big Mongols fan this week. Let's see, how their efforts this year have paid off. I mean, I think Terry is another guy who tried to make some moves and tried to get some things going to, make some things happen this year for his team. And let's see how it plays out. I mean,
I got to jump in right here. Wait a minute. Because I meant to bring this up earlier, and I'm glad Hank is talking because you're contradicting yourself on a very important point. You blasted Terry for the Demaryius Thomas trade. And I kind of tuned out in week 12 after the aliens were eliminated. But if I'm correct, and I don't mean to, well, I do mean to pick on Terry. He left Demaryius Thomas on his bench in favor of the other Houston receiver he has, which makes you wonder why he went out and got a second Houston receiver.
That was a very suspect move. It was.
Demaryius Thomas has 2 touchdowns on the Mongols bench and cost them the win against the Fats.
Yeah.
Terry,
how do you answer that? I mean, yes, you're right, and I'm
defend yourself.
Yeah.
I just want the Mongols.
Well, listen, there is no defense. I had started Demaryius Thomas the week before. He played the entire game. He got 0 targets. I had read some bullshit rankings from some bullshit fantasy football pundits.
So it's not Michael's service. It's not service.
And I had somehow convinced myself that Kuti was a better play. And, you trade for the guy, you play the guy. He went out, got 2 touchdowns, made me look really stupid. But, yeah, I've seen what the Mongols' biggest problem is. It's tough when you can't blame it on an injury or a quirky injury report from a coach or a dropped pass. You realize that the person who might have just fucked up your season is staring back at you in the mirror. It sucks. It sucks. So that's how I feel about Demaryius Thomas and Kiki Kuti. So
isn't that why I have a co-owner? So you can blame him for those things?
Yeah.
No. Getting back to the game, if Freeze doesn't come up with 10 points here, I don't like the Mongols' chance. I think his hopes rest on the aliens knocking off the Devils, which is probably a 50-50 or so game. Thorny's already clinched the worst #1 draft pick. He doesn't have to justifiably tank anymore, or whatever the expression was. He can actually go all out to win. And I've been watching his lineup. I suspect he probably has been, regardless. But yeah, this does not look good for the Mongols right now with 5 minutes left in the third.
I have to rely on the help of friends, it looks like. So
I'll tell you what, when you got 4 points from your kicker and quarterback, going into the last couple minutes of the third quarter, that's not a good sign. I agree, Chief. Yeah. But that being said, Terry has kicked ass, making some big moves, getting Breeze. Terry has put his balls up on the table this season. I appreciate that. And I hope the Mongols pull this out. I'm rooting for them like we talked about before, but it doesn't look good right now, at least in that game.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're all right with the way this Saints game is trending. It's going to come down to hopefully the Devils not putting up a great effort and losing their game. So
listen, I'm not even watching this NFL game, and I think you guys are perhaps underselling the Saints. There's still 5 minutes left in the third, from what it looks like. Yep. They're down 10 points. They're going to be throwing. This offense has been incredible all season long. I don't think it's a stretch to say Breeze can get 2 more touchdowns and get a couple more yardage points. They're down 10 points. It means they're going to need a field goal from Lutz in there somewhere. Fair amount of time left in this game. The Mongols can still get some points here.
Yeah, the Cowboys are just getting these nice long drives down the field.
Yep.
You
want to touch on the other game, Two-Stick?
What's that?
We'll touch on the Aliens-Devils game?
Yeah, in 1 second. Let me just point out, on the Beavers side, I mean, the thing I wanted to point out with the Beavers is after we had Kramer, I think it was, knocking Christian McCaffrey as a draft pick.
He's been lights out.
Yeah. So he's been a stud. He's playing Tampa Bay. Bill does have some good matchups. Kenny Galladay is going to have to be catching passes against the Rams. Brandon Cooks, vice versa, going against Detroit on turf is going to be good for Brandon Cooks. Lamar Miller against Cleveland. Aaron Rodgers against Arizona. A lot of good matchups for the Beavers. So, yeah, it is going to be tough for the Mongols. But let's see what the Saints do the rest of the Aliens Devils. It's worth pointing out that Amari Cooper is playing right now, has a couple points, has a lost fumble, it looks like. Yeah. Again, Aliens without Melvin Gordon this week. Devils might have Stephon Diggs and Calvin Ridley a bit banged up at receiver.
Starting Carlos Hyde has to make you nervous.
Yeah, sure. He's, at least with Leonard Fournette suspended, Hyde's
right.
Hyde's not a bad play.
I like starting Murray better.
Latavius Murray, really?
I'm not gonna tell you how to too big. No, it's right. There's some.
No.
Like I said, this game looks pretty much like a coin flip to me. I might give the Devils a slight edge here.
Yeah. I mean, if Diggs is out of that lineup, that's a big hit. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize Ridley was that banged up. Yeah, I agree. Coin flip. I think Carson Wentz is due for a big game here. He's had a couple duds. So I think Carson Wentz to Alshon Jeffrey is a difference maker in this game.
Yeah, they haven't scored a lot for the Aliens in the past couple of weeks, so they could get some points here against the Skins defense through the air. So yeah, it's a coin flip, but I think the key to the Aliens winning is going to be Wentz. You're right there, Berto.
Terry, I don't know if I actually believe that or not. I'm just trying to give you a good pep talk going in.
No, I think you're right, and Berto, we talked about this on email. A key to the Aliens' last two losses, weeks 11 and 12, has been Carson Wentz going for -1 point in week 11, 9 points in week 12. Those are not the numbers you want from your stud quarterback.
No.
And yeah, he's due to bounce back, but if he comes up with single digits or negative numbers again, that's not going to serve the Aliens very well.
Yeah. And there's early trade rumors about Wentz going to the Killers.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, hey, Stick, what number?
Off-season trade.
Doesn't take much for a rumor, does it?
No.
What's to say?
What's the point differential you're going to be comfortable with going into Monday night? How many points do you feel comfortable making up?
Well, I was just going to say, yeah, as you guys acknowledged, Wentz to Jeffrey is kind of a key to the Alien scoring points. If those guys connect, the Alien, we've had some big weeks this year, and when those guys connect, we can score 70, 80 points. I think I want to be within. If I were within 20 points, I'd feel like that's a reasonable number to go get. If we're within 30 points, I feel like we can get that from those two guys. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's see what Cousins and Diggs do if Diggs plays. Probably playing catch up to some extent against New England. Nick could have a lot of points on the board at the end of Sunday. But that, again, we've seen what Carson Wentz can do to decide games at the end of action. So we've got him coming back, him and Jeffrey on Monday night.
Let me touch on another game, but really other teams. And we talked about this Stick in your intro, and I tried to look it up on the essential document, but it looks like that tab is not up to date. Do the Fats have a free agency pick yet left? They had one left as of week 9. I don't know if Terry offhand knows if they have another one left.
Yeah, I put it down at the end of the commissioner report. Let me just pull it up. Yes, they have. They have one.
How about the Mongols? Who I've noticed.
Mongols have one FA pick.
All right, and there might be other teams too. I get nervous when I see teams with not nervous. Like if it were me, with like one kicker going into playoffs, and the FA picks are done.
Yeah.
So I was just curious. Or as the official league Twitter said, if the Fats have to start shipping Goff and bubble wrap into the games, because he can grab someone like a Jeff Driscoll or maybe Eli's out there available. I don't even know who's available for quarterbacks. Joe Flacco maybe.
Colt McCoy.
But it's better than not be able to get anybody because you don't have a free agency pick left. Yeah, Colt McCoy is actually probably I would guess the target there. Just curious, that's all.
All right, I've got one more topic for us in our roundtable chat. We've talked about the big games on the docket. Let's shift a little bit to looking ahead to our offseason. Some of the teams that are out of the playoffs, like me, have already probably started working on their projected keeper lists. We've not talked a lot this year on the webcast about the quarterback market, as we have often in years past. Looking at teams that might have two strong quarterbacks, are they going to be able to deal one at the offseason? But we'll get to you, Chief. Obviously the Hams had that early in the year and dealt Drew Brees to the Mongols already. But let's take a look at the quarterback market. We've acknowledged over and over again, whether you believe quarterback or running back is the most important position, doesn't really matter. I think we all acknowledge you really want a stud quarterback at the top of your lineup. Whether it's the most important position or not doesn't matter. But what we can see with Mahomes, with Goff, you got to have a guy capable of scoring 30 points every week at the top of your lineup. I see three franchises that might want to go in a different direction at quarterback for 2019. You could disagree with me on these. The Lizards, with Cam Newton and Ben Roethlisberger, they have been going back and forth on those guys, as well as Case Keenum earlier in the year. I think it's fair to say Berkman is not clearly sold on Cam Newton anymore. Ben Roethlisberger, probably not a long-term keeper for anybody anymore.
Touchdown, Breeze.
There you go, Terry.
There we go.
So
Breeze to who?
Or 10. I think that's a Quantaris Smith guy, whoever his name is.
3 Quan.
And there's presumably an extra point for Lutz as well.
There you go.
All right. So again, Lizards may be willing to move on from Cam Newton. The Giant Killers. Best you can do right now is project them to keep Sam Darnold. Berto may or may not decide he's really keeper worthy. I think you'd certainly be in the market for a stud quarterback if you could find one. Yeah. And the third team is the Amsterdam Packers. Who've got, much like the Lizards, they've got two good guys. They've got Matt Ryan. They've got Russell Wilson. But are either one of those really the best they could find at quarterback? They could be looking for an upgrade. I'll shut up here in just a second. I've got a general question for you, and then we'll get into the specifics of the TFFL quarterback market. But we've all been in this boat. You've all been in this boat. How aggressive should these teams be? How do you recommend they proceed? Should they go with a veteran, as the Mongols did in trading for Breeze, or the Pats did in trading for Goff? The Sponge did a couple of years ago trading for Luck. Do you draft a high upside young quarterback? Beavers did that with Aaron Rodgers 10 years ago. Aliens did that with Wentz. Hams did that with Mahomes. Do you wait patiently for an undervalued veteran coming in the draft? That's how the Lizards got Cam Newton. Let's take that general question first. How do those three teams evaluate their quarterback position and decide how to get somebody better?
I think two of those teams, the Packers and the Lizards specifically, are teams that don't look at the rock of a quarterback as, at least as I know that you do and that I do, as the franchise captain and leader. The Packer in a fun position right now, at least, of having great depth at running back, and kind of, I think Ezekiel Elliott is kind of who they're building their team around, and and along with Fournette and Cook and Ingram, and they're doing well there. And the Lizards, I know, would love to have a quarterback that would score them that kind of points, but I think they're also comfortable with Ben and Cam and the 8th or 10th quarterback as well, going for a high upside pick later. So I think at least with those two teams, I'm not sure they care as much.
I've really got nothing to add. Honestly, it's people have different philosophies, as Hank was kind of getting at what the quarterback's worth. I think as you were pointing out examples there, Stick, you can do all of them and win. You can do all of them and lose. I don't think it really matters which. I mean, I think the thing to do is find a team with 2 quarterbacks and throw multiple high picks at last year's #1 overall NFL pick. But since you said keep it generic, it really doesn't matter as long as you make the right evaluation and get your guy.
My philosophy on the quarterback is evolving. So I think there's more touchdowns, there's more passing, there's more every year. It increases and increases. So I'm more in the camp that I need a better quarterback than maybe skating by with a Phillip Rivers or Ryan Fitzpatrick or whatever. But
why do you compare those two?
Whatever.
One's an MVP candidate, and one's Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Rivers has been awesome.
One has won a Pac Bowl.
And it's Ryan Fitzpatrick. Yeah.
So my point is, can I get a better quarterback? But I'm still like, oh man, do I want to give up that high a draft pick for a quarterback? So I don't know. But Stick, we'll talk about Carson Wentz and we'll come to a fair offer and we'll pull the trigger on that.
Well, so getting more specific now, which I know Chief wants to do. Let's talk about let's talk about what quarterbacks might be available, and Carson Wentz is not on the list that I've got here. Baker Mayfield, as Chief said, NFL #1 overall pick. Somebody you certainly be very excited about if you've watched him play this year. Baker Mayfield, Mitchell Trubisky, #3 overall pick in last year's draft, who has emerged this year on a Bears offense that suddenly looks very good. Jimmy Garoppolo, young stud that the Mongols probably aren't going to have room to keep anymore, and would love to get some value for. And then, as Chief said, who knows? Maybe there's a swap that the Lizards can do with Roethlisberger or Newton, and the impact with Ryan or Wilson. Those guys are all available. But especially given what the Fats did in going out and getting Goff this year, I wonder if Trubisky or Mayfield is that kind of target for the Killers.
Maybe.
Let me tell you that Hugh Jackson getting out of Baker Mayfield's way is going to be just like Jeff Fisher getting out of Jonathan Goff's way. I think you're already seeing it. How much Hugh is shackling him, which for an offensive guy is kind of, Jeff Fisher understood. He was from previous generation, is all defense.
Yep.
Hugh Jackson was surprising how much he just, for whatever reason, whether maybe his heart was in the right place, didn't want to put too much responsibility on him. Maybe want to keep his job. Maybe he's just dumb. I don't know. But it's a new Baker Mayfield out there in the last 3 weeks.
It's true.
I could easily see Mayfield and Trubisky both as keepers heading into next year.
Trubisky's look good, and the Bears look good with him doing it. So never know.
So Stick, I mean, to answer your, so as some of these older guys start to really not be useful anymore, but you got a new crop of younger quarterbacks. I mean, it's depends what the math is, and if if there's a couple of decent guys who are thrown back who may have not been thrown back in the past, or in the past couple of years, sure. I mean, there's you're gonna have those guys selected in the second round again by 2 or 3 of these teams.
All right, let's start to wrap up for the evening, and Terry can get back to focusing on Drew. One more touchdown from Drew Brees would for you. Let me give you a TFFL trivia answer. Again, we're looking for the number of seasons, the number of times in our 21-year history. This is year 22. Number of times that all 3 teams from a single division finished with winning records in the same season.
Were you including this year in that one?
I am not. I'm saying that there's a possibility that the aliens in the NOCO West could add to this number.
Sure.
What is that number?
I went low. I only remember it happening once before, but I'm sure.
I didn't know, but so I went lower.
No, you got 4. Who's got 7?
12.
12. Oh my God. Okay, so we've had 21 seasons. I actually
put it up. I was thinking, never mind. I did the question a little differently.
I went into this thinking I was going to be asking you guys a true-false question. Has this ever happened? The correct answer is 5. And I was surprised. I would have certainly guessed low on this one. So whoever had 4 is closest.
I had 4.
That's Hank. 3 points to Hank. Nobody got the exact number. So no 2 points.
So how many points do I get?
3.
Outstanding.
Wow.
Let me rattle
my season lead.
Let me rattle off the answer here real quick because you guys will be impressed. It happened most recently in 2014 in a surprising division, the SoCo East. Slippery Beavers 8-5, Dirt Devils 8-5, Mongols 7-6. Nice job, guys.
Nice.
Prior to that, congratulations to the NoCo East. 2013, Killers 11-2. No, K-Wheels 11-2. Killers 9-4. Ampac 8-5.
Yep.
You guys did it 2 straight years. 2013, you did it prior to that in 2012. Killers 9-4. Ampac 8-4-1. K-Wheels 7-5-1.
Yeah.
You did it back in 2006.
Yeah.
Your division. And the SoCo West did it once in 2008.
I think we all made playoffs that year. The SoCo West. So that was one.
That was you. So that was Sponge Fishermen 7-6, Senators 7-6, Hams 8-5.
Dominance of the NoCo East. Except this year.
I don't feel very dominant.
And really, I might have accepted 5.5 as the answer because in 2003, Terry's division, Dirt Devils 9-4, Mongols 6-6-1, Beavers 6-6-1. No losing records in that division. So there you go. Well, it will not be quite that unusual if the NoCo West adds to it this year.
The NoCo West is the one division who's never done it, right?
That is correct, actually. So a lot riding on it for our division. We're all rooting for the aliens this week, except for the Dirt Devils.
That's right.
Go Mongols.
So Terry, we've already talked about the games of the week, but for courtesy's sake, for everybody else, you just rattle off who's facing who in the last week of our regular season.
All right. Well, as we've talked about, Beavers are playing the Mongols. The Devils are playing the Aliens. 2 very important games. Packers at K-Wheels. Lizards have the last chance to knock off the Fats. Giant Killers and the Sponge. And then the battle for the SoCo, the Senators playing the Hams.
All right. That's it, guys. Hey, good luck to everybody in Week 13. I think almost everybody has something fairly significant on the line, whether that's a move up toward the top of the draft, a wild card spot. I guess all the wild cards, yeah, or a division title in a couple cases. Conference title, technically still up for grabs along with that SoCo division title between the Sens and the Hams. Again, $500, a first-round bye on the line, playoff seeding. So yeah, lots still to be decided. We'll be back here, I think, next Wednesday. We'll be in December. We'll be talking about TFFL playoff action. So yeah, good luck to everybody. Take care, and we'll see you next week.
Good night.
Go Sponge.